One of the things I'd like to talk to you about today is the concept of being triggered. Now, a lot of people know what being triggered is. Basically what happens is someone makes a statement that is unacceptable. It might be something like, I said, all women should stay at home and work in the home or whatever. And a group of people get highly offended by it and go into a complete rage and lose all sense of control. That idea is the concept of being triggered. Now, that may seem to be a bad thing, but from an NLP perspective, we like that idea. From a psychology perspective, really what we're talking about there is we're talking about associative conditioning. From an NLP perspective, we're talking about anchoring. Now, for most people, when they're triggered, it's triggered into a bad association. So you say a word and their body goes crazy, their mind goes crazy, and there's all sorts of loss of control. Now, but think about the concept of that actually happening. What would happen if you could get a trigger point for yourself in order to be able to do something, in order to be able to activate yourself, to become motivated, to be able to make decisions, to be able to solve problems, to become more creative? Because the reality is that same mechanism that triggers a person in a negative way can be used to trigger a person in a positive way. See, the reality is we all have representation systems, or if we think in terms of our five senses, we see, we hear, we feel, we smell, we taste. Now, those systems that we use, we tend to use to see, hear, feel more. And because we're creatures of habit, some of us tend to lean towards one system more than the other. So some people like the look of the world, some people like the sound of the world, some people like the feel of the world. And that is the habitual way of actually responding to the world. But there's a significant difference. This is what's called a representation system primacy. But the reality is how we get activated very often can be from a different system. So it can be a sight, a sound, a sensation. It can be the tone of voice. It can be an impression, something very slight. So it's a good idea for you to tune in to check out. If you've been triggered at some stage, check in. What was it that actually triggered you? Because very often we're only conscious of it after it begins to happen. But begin to slow down, take a look, and find out, was it the tone of voice? Was it a sensation? Was it a picture? What was it? Because if you can begin to figure out what is it that actually triggers you, then you can figure it out basically for motivation. Say for going to the gym, for going on a diet, for becoming more focused, for becoming more confident. Because these are things that actually allow the system to automate. And what you really want is, when you want to get something done, you want it to feel automatic. Now, if you're interested in figuring out this, finding out more about it, we'd love to talk to you because we can tell you a whole lot more about it, and it'll help you to be able to change your life in a really powerful way.